Hollywood's forgiving spotlight often masks an invisible enemy. We worship the golden illusion, blind to the systemic blade hanging above our favorite stars. Today, we expose 7 celebrities who traded their dazzling stage lights for the cold, unforgiving reality of a prison yard. This isn't just tabloid fodder. It is the raw agony of shattered legacies. Brace yourself. Let's descend into the darkness. 7. John Adrian Velasquez. I am just a crumpled piece of paper, a discarded betting slip left behind on a cold Harlem concrete floor. In the chaotic frenzy of that 1998 January night, amidst the echoing gunshots and the raw agony of a dying, retired NYPD detective, I quietly absorbed the true killer's microscopic signature. Yet, the systemic blade of the justice system is notoriously blind. It completely ignored my biological truth, choosing instead to swing down heavily on a 22-year-old innocent man who wasn't even there. I watched helplessly from a dark, dusty evidence locker as John Adrian Velasquez experienced the most brutal sudden drop. His youth and dreams of a picture-perfect family were ripped away in an instant, replaced by a devastating 25 years to life sentence despite phone records clearly proving his alibi miles away. For over 2 decades, I lay dormant in police storage while he aged slowly behind thick plexiglass dividers. He was fighting a relentless invisible enemy, a deeply flawed legal apparatus that preferred swift convictions over undeniable facts. While most men would find themselves violently wasting away under the crushing weight of a false murder label, John crafted a profound survival strategy. He transformed into a scholar and a dedicated mentor, taking center stage in a prison arts program, proving his spirit couldn't be caged even as his physical freedom was unjustly stolen. Outside the prison walls, unanswered questions and chilling speculation began to haunt the authorities. Documentaries, podcasters, and authors began whispering his name, turning his desperate plight into a public cause. It is a deeply tragic irony that an innocent man had to become famous, even eventually playing himself in the movie Sing Sing, just to make the system finally admit its catastrophic mistake. Then, modern science evolved. Investigators finally pulled me out of the darkness and retested the DNA I had cradled for 23 years. My silent fibers finally screamed the ultimate truth. The genetic code did not belong to John. Thanks to Governor Andrew Cuomo's clemency, the heavy steel doors opened. John walked out after losing half his life, leaving me behind in the cold archives, a silent, inanimate witness returning to the quiet dark, forever holding the heavy weight of stolen decades. Yet, just as one innocent soul miraculously breaks free from the suffocating concrete boundaries that wrongly confined him, a completely different tragedy begins to take shape in the glamorous hills of Hollywood, proving that the most inescapable prisons are sometimes constructed entirely out of immense wealth, misplaced arrogance, and unpaid federal ledgers. 6. Wesley Snipes. He stood at the absolute zenith of Hollywood power, single-handedly paving the way for the modern superhero blockbusters. Between 1999 and 2001, his Blade franchise dominated the global box office, raking in hundreds of millions and solidifying his status as an untouchable powerhouse. Basking under the dazzling stage lights, Snipes lived the ultimate golden illusion of wealth and invincibility. But the higher the pedestal, the more devastating the sudden drop. While his production company generated massive income, a dangerous arrogance festered behind the scenes. He simply stopped filing his tax returns. Seduced by fringe tax protest theories, Snipes foolishly argued that African Americans were legally exempt from federal income taxes, even audacious enough to demand nearly $12 million in refunds for previously paid taxes. He believed he was a maverick, but he had merely invited a merciless foe into his life, the Internal Revenue Service. The systemic blade swung down hard in October 2006, shattering his carefully crafted image and turning his legal battles into sensational tabloid fodder. Despite an aggressive defense team painting him as a victim of bad advice, the jury convicted him on 3 misdemeanor counts of willful failure to file tax returns. The raw agony of his reality check arrived when the judge handed down the maximum 3-year sentence. The man who once wore iconic black leather now found himself draped in prison khaki at Pennsylvania's McKean Federal Correctional Institution. He served 28 grueling months before his 2013 release, watching his once stellar career rapidly wasting away as studios hesitated to hire a convicted felon. Upon his release to home confinement, fame's crushing pressure of rebuilding a shattered legacy became intensely apparent. Insurance companies outright refused to bond him for new productions. He eventually clawed his way back with projects like The Expendables 3 and Dolomite Is My Name, proving he still commanded undeniable screen presence. Yet, the permanent asterisk of his prison stint remained an unfillable void in his legacy. What is the true value of immense fame and fortune if the very institutions you try to outsmart can instantly lock you in a cage? While one icon's downfall was meticulously calculated through fraudulent paperwork and financial hubris, another legend's collision with the tax authorities stemmed from a much deeper, more chaotic unraveling of the soul, where millions in unpaid dues were just a symptom of a far more lethal internal war. 5. DMX. Long before Earl Simmons ever stood before a federal judge, his soul was already locked in a brutal, exhausting war against an invisible enemy. DMX never bothered to sell the public a picture-perfect family or a golden illusion. Instead, he built a legendary hip-hop empire entirely upon his raw agony and his transparent struggles with trauma. But beneath the platinum plaques and the thunderous roar of millions of fans, a silent predator, his crippling addiction, was slowly consuming him from the inside out. This relentless psychological ghost fractured his reality, pushing him into a chaotic, cash-based lifestyle designed to dodge his financial obligations while simultaneously feeding his deepest demons. Between 2010 and 2016, even as his anthems generated massive revenues and his total album sales surpassed 30 million worldwide, the rapper was spiritually wasting away. He completely ignored his taxes, attempting to outrun a $1.7 million debt by living completely off the grid, keeping his wealth hidden under other people's names. But the systemic blade always catches up. In December 2017, prosecutors indicted him on 14 counts of tax evasion. When he finally stood in the Manhattan federal court to plead guilty, his attorney painted a heartbreaking portrait of a man overwhelmed by fame's crushing pressure and a decades-long battle with substance abuse. The judge handed down a 1-year sentence in federal prison and ordered a crushing $2.3 million in restitution. Inside the Gilmer County Federal Correctional Institution, DMX desperately tried to silence the ghost in his mind by turning to his faith, constantly reading scripture and completing rehabilitation programs. He was released in January 2019, determined to reclaim his life, returning to the stage with the Rough Riders and sharing his ongoing recovery efforts through a television documentary series. Tragically, the years of chemical abuse had already acted as a devastating, merciless foe on his physical heart. Just because the prison sentence ended did not mean his psychological confinement was unlocked. In April 2021, a fatal overdose triggered a massive heart attack at his New York home. Earl Simmons died at the age of 50, his spirit having fought a grueling, unwinnable war long before his body finally surrendered. He left behind a legacy defined not by his tax crimes, but by his fierce, unapologetic truth. Losing a lifelong battle to genuine internal torment leaves a legacy bathed in empathetic sorrow. Deliberately engineering a fake hate crime to manipulate public sympathy, conversely, incinerates a career in an instant, proving that the most lethal wounds in Hollywood are sometimes entirely self-inflicted. 4. Jussie Smollett. Forever grateful for the love. Beautiful night in Chicago. Stay safe out there, everyone. This flawless, picture-perfect Instagram post, uploaded just days before the incident, perfectly captured the golden illusion that Jussie Smollett had meticulously built for himself. As a prominent gay black actor on a hit television series, he possessed the ultimate survival strategy in a highly competitive industry, a massive fan base, and an adoring public. Yet, beneath the dazzling stage lights of empire, a destructive desperation was quietly brewing. Desperate for publicity and salary leverage, Smollett decided to weaponize the deepest traumas of a nation, setting off a sequence of events that would trigger an immediate devastating sudden drop. The illusion shattered into pieces on January 29, 2019, when he claimed he was viciously attacked on a freezing Chicago street by two men shouting racist and homophobic slurs. The systemic blade of public outrage instantly swung into motion as political figures and Hollywood elites rushed to support him. But the Chicago Police Department's investigation soon peeled back the layers of deception, exposing a sordid reality of tabloid fodder and an entirely orchestrated hoax. Surveillance footage and text messages revealed that Smollett had actually paid two Nigerian bodybuilders, extras from his own show, to stage the entire event, even going so far as to rehearse the attack beforehand. The raw agony of his self-inflicted downfall was laid bare during his December 2021 trial. Despite his desperate protestations of innocence on the witness stand, the jury saw right through the performance, convicting him on 5 felony counts of disorderly conduct for lying to authorities. At his sentencing, a furious judge ordered him to serve 150 days in county jail and pay over $120,000 in restitution to the city. Though he was released on bond just 6 days later pending an extended appeal, the permanent damage to his reputation was completely absolute. His character was permanently written out of Empire, and his career vanished into an unfillable void. Fabricating a crime out of pure vanity guarantees immediate career oblivion. Yet, when an actor steps entirely out of the realm of fiction and utilizes real, high-tech tracking equipment to execute a cold-blooded street execution, the narrative transitions from a pathetic media circus into an absolute horror story. 3. Isaiah Stokes. 1 GPS tracking device. 11 bullets. 25 years to life. These are the cold, unforgiving metrics that meticulously document the terrifying descent of Isaiah Stokes. Before he reduced his entire existence to a mere statistical death sentence behind bars, Stokes was steadily building a respectable resume with recurring appearances on hit shows like Law and Order, SVU, and Boardwalk Empire. He was inching closer to the dazzling stage lights, working desperately to cement himself as a recognized television powerhouse. But beneath the promising surface of his acting career lurked a merciless foe, a remarkably fragile ego completely incapable of handling a minor social slight. The mathematical descent into darkness began not with a sudden explosion of impulsive anger, but with weeks of chilling, calculated surveillance. After being kicked out of a party following a dispute with Tyrone Jones, Stokes's wounded pride morphed into a silent predator. He purchased a single GPS tracking device, secretly attached it to Jones's car, and obsessively monitored his victims' coordinates day after day. On February 7, 2021, the digital data finally aligned outside a Queens hookah lounge. The calculus of this execution was sickeningly precise. As Jones walked to his vehicle, Stokes approached from behind and pulled the trigger exactly 11 times. 11 distinct echoes of raw agony tore through the freezing night as the victim desperately tried to escape, ultimately bleeding out on the pavement before paramedics could even attempt a rescue. There were absolutely zero unanswered questions and chilling speculation for the NYPD detectives. High-definition surveillance cameras captured 100% of the gruesome execution. Furthermore, the data from the GPS tracker provided an inescapable chronological roadmap of premeditation, completely destroying any desperate survival strategy his defense attorneys attempted to build around claims of self-defense. In January 2025, prosecutors laid out the overwhelming mountain of numerical and visual evidence. The jury took very little time to calculate his absolute guilt, returning convictions on all charges, including second-degree murder. When the judge handed down a staggering sentence of 25 years to life, Stokes's golden illusion permanently dissolved into a terrifying reality of public disgrace and an unfillable void of concrete. At 49 years old, the man who once pretended to be a criminal on television became a real one, facing the grim probability that his life will simply expire in a cage. One fractured ego, multiplied by weeks of deadly obsession, equated to the absolute destruction of 2 lives. Extracting a murder conviction from crystal-clear video footage requires only minutes of visual review, whereas unmasking the monstrous reality of America's most trusted father figure demanded the agonized voices of dozens of women spanning half a century. 2. Bill Cosby. For generations, Bill Cosby was the undisputed architect of America's golden illusion. Through The Cosby Show, he constructed a picture-perfect family that sat at the very heart of mainstream culture, earning himself the trusted title of America's Dad. He was a Hollywood powerhouse, a cultural icon who broke color barriers and commanded immense respect from every corner of the entertainment industry. Yet, behind this beautifully manicured facade of moral authority lay a horrifying double life. A silent predator lurked underneath the expensive sweaters, operating with impunity under the forgiving spotlight for nearly 50 years. The catastrophic sudden drop began to materialize when the world finally listened to the raw agony of Andrea Constand. In 2004, while seeking career advice at his suburban Philadelphia home, she was given 3 blue pills under the guise of herbal supplements. Within 30 minutes, her body was completely paralyzed, leaving her entirely helpless as Cosby violated her trust. Though the systemic blade of justice initially stalled in 2005 when a district attorney declined to prosecute, a massive cultural shift eventually blew the case wide open, bringing forth over 60 accusers who painted a chillingly identical pattern of abuse. By April 2018, the illusion shattered completely. The jury convicted the 81-year-old comedy legend on 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. The public disgrace was total. He was officially branded a violent predator and sentenced to 3 to 10 years in state prison. He traded his sprawling mansions for a cold cell at SCI Phoenix, a maximum security facility. Yet, in a shocking twist of legal technicalities, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court vacated his conviction in June 2021, ruling that a previous non-prosecution agreement had violated his constitutional rights. Cosby walked free that very day, but his legacy remains completely unfillable, permanently toxic, and forever ruined in the court of public opinion. While Cosby's decades of alleged misdeeds required an intricate legal chess match to navigate, the brutal actions of the next actor were so immediate, visceral, and violently explosive that it required only a single night of blind rage to completely incinerate his career. 1. Shelley Malil. It takes an entire lifetime of grueling auditions and relentless hustle to build a golden illusion in Hollywood, yet it takes only a single, catastrophic choice to tear it all down to the bone. For Shelley Malil, whose comedic timing as Hayes Eyes in The 40-Year-Old Virgin had finally placed him firmly under the forgiving spotlight, the fatal ripple originated from a deeply toxic romance. On the tragic night of August 10, 2008, an overwhelming wave of jealousy became a merciless foe that completely hijacked his rational mind. Seeing his ex-girlfriend Kendra Beebe with another man outside her San Marcos townhouse triggered a horrific, irreversible sudden drop into sheer madness. He did not just make a mistake. He actively chose to unleash raw agony. Malil pulled a knife and struck Beebe an agonizing 23 times, targeting her neck, chest, and back in a vicious, relentless assault. The horrifying screams of his victim shattered the quiet neighborhood, leaving her bleeding on the pavement, clinging to a fragile thread of life as her lungs and liver suffered massive injuries. While Beebe miraculously survived the brutal attack, Malil's desperate survival strategy during his 2010 trial, absurdly claiming self-defense against 23 stab wounds, was immediately dismantled by the systemic blade of justice. The jury swiftly convicted him of attempted premeditated murder, transforming his rising star into grotesque tabloid fodder. Although a controversial parole board eventually granted him early release in 2018 after serving just 8 years of a 12-year sentence, the permanent damage of that one terrifying choice remains completely absolute. His acting career is forever dead, permanently erased by the 23 horrifying strikes he inflicted on a woman he once claimed to love. In the end, the most terrifying monsters are not born in the shadows. They are created in a single fatal fraction of a second when humanity simply lets go. The dazzling stage lights of Hollywood can easily blind us, but as these 7 stories prove, the golden illusion is tragically fragile. Whether they were crushed by the systemic blade of a flawed justice system or consumed by the silent predators lurking within their own minds, their fall from grace was always a brutal, sudden drop. Ultimately, some acts destroy lives on both sides of the blade, leaving nothing but an unfillable void. If you want us to expose more earth-shattering secrets behind Hollywood's picture-perfect facade, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and comment below whose story shocked you the most.